This is attorney Alexis Hart McDowell. I am the principal of the law office of Alexis Hart McDowell, also known as the Enterprise Esquire. We handle all of your real estate and business formation needs throughout the Chicagoland area. And if you're trying to form a business, we can help you with that nationwide. So this evening, I'm coming on to speak about selling as is, what that means, and why some sellers choose to sell their home as is and that they can still profit from it. What does it mean to sell your home as is? First of all, it means that the homeowner is selling the home in its current condition. It will make no repairs or improvements before the sale. Purchasers need to be aware of that the home is not going to be repaired and that the seller is putting this on the market in its current condition. I want to let the sellers know that it doesn't relieve you from your legal obligations, though. You have a legal obligation to answer any questions honestly about the existing property problems, and you still have to complete and be honest in your residential real property disclosures that your real estate broker will give you. So that does not relieve the sellers of their obligations to be honest about the property as well. Now, why would a seller want to sell as is? There's a couple of different reasons, and it really just depends on the seller's situation. One, they could want to sell quickly. Some people may have to relocate. There could be family matters, there could be health issues, or they could be part of the elderly population, and now it's time for them to move out of their current home. Another reason why sellers sell as is they don't want to do the repairs. Some sellers are physically incapable of performing any repairs on the property, and some sellers are of a particular age of maturity, so they're a little bit older and they're unable to perform repairs on the property as well. Another one is some sellers can't financially afford the repairs. If they don't have the money to spend on the repairs, then they're not going to be able to bring this house up to the current modern day standards, and borrowers need to be aware of that. Also, some sellers just want to save money by not doing any repairs whatsoever. They may feel like spending the money on repairs is not going to recoup them enough in the sales price to make it worth it to them. So they won't make that financial investment and they'll just save the money. Another thing that sellers need to be aware of when they're selling their house as is one, they need to be realistic about the value. I know that everybody thinks their home is the best thing going and it's perfect in its current condition, but you really have to look at it from the buyer's perspective. The value between a turnkey property, meaning one that's already ready, that's move-in ready, and a fixer-upper is not the same in the eyes of the buyer. So be honest and realistic with yourself as a seller about the value of your property. If it needs repairs, it has no upgrades to it, the buyers are not going to see that in the same light as a recently rehabbed or updated property. So kind of look at it from the buyer's perspective. I also want you sellers to be reasonable. Be reasonable. Just because you're selling it as is doesn't mean that the buyer can't submit a repair request to you. Many buyers continue to submit repair requests. Now, be reasonable. And if you're able to address minor repairs, you might want to consider doing so. Because if the buyer is asking for some repairs, they're most likely serious about the purchase, so don't ignore them. Don't miss out on your big payoff by selling the home over a few $100s. You may be able to come up with a few $100s or maybe even less to make those repairs and the buyer go through with the purchase. When looking at the buyer's repair request, consider what repairs you can possibly do yourself and save some money, or that a local handyman would do for a few extra dollars. You don't have to spend hundreds upon thousands of dollars repairing your home, especially when you're selling it as is. You can just simply say, this is what I can do, or this is what I will do, because the buyers went into it knowing it was being sold as is. But if they're making a few repair requests, you might want to oblige them so that they can continue on with the deal. And I just want to say a little goes a long way with a buyer. They want to feel like they're getting something done that they don't have to pay for after they move into the property. Remember, the buyer is looking at all of the money that they have to outlay after purchasing the home to either repair it or upgrade it or modernize it. So, whatever you can do to decrease that amount in their minds while staying within your budget and your financial means encourages the buyer to move forward with the purchase. Again, you don't want to miss your big payoff of selling the home over a few $100s or even something that could be free if you're able to do the repairs yourself. And I just want to give you a pro tip here for some sellers. If you're truly financially strapped and cash is extremely tight, whatever minor repairs you agree to do it after the buyer's loan is approved and communicate that with your real estate broker and your attorney so they can put that in writing. That way, you're not spending money on repairs and then the deal possibly end up falling apart and now you're out that cash. Consider the repairs and then do them after the buyer's loan is approved. Hopefully, they're minor repairs. And lastly, for the sellers, you need to understand the rules. And the rule is that the buyer's appraisal rules. Lenders will want health and safety issues to be addressed. So be mindful of that in advance when you're selecting an offer. Look at the types of loans that the buyers are saying that they're getting. You don't want to waste time by having your home on the market longer than it needs to be because you are dealing with a buyer whose lender wants the property fixed up. And in some instances, if your home requires extensive repairs, you may have to advertise in your listing that it's for 203K buyers or that it's a rehab. That way, you're not attracting buyers that are unwilling to do the extensive repairs needed to bring the property up to a livable condition. And lastly, sellers, you all have to be aware. Be aware that because you're selling your house as is and the house is advertised as being sold as is, you reduce your buyer pool and you may get fewer offers because of that. Also, because the house has to be updated or the types of repairs may be extensive or even expensive, you may get lower profits on the sale of your home as well. You need to take into account your existing mortgages that you have on the property, if any, and you also want to consider your area. If you live in a hot buyer's area, buyers will still pay a premium for your property, regardless of it being sold as is, just because the area is so desirable and that they will at least have some built-in equity or thank you. This is my tips for sellers and what selling as is and how it can be beneficial to sellers. If you're selling your property, reach out to me at theenterpriseesquire.com. Schedule a free 15-minute consultation. We'd love to represent you in the sale of your home or property. We work with buyers, sellers, and investors. So if that's you, reach out to us and we'd love to help you. Enterpriseesquire.com, and you can send an email or you can book a free 15-minute consultation. Thanks and have a great evening.